Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is FPL Elma. Today I'm going to be going through my wildcard draft. I think many people have been asking me in my DMs on Instagram, what will I do if I was going to be wildcarding this week. So I just decided to make an overall video to answer all the questions. And if you want to check out my socials, or the links are down in the description. But before we get into the video, I should thank you all guys for the continued support on the channel. We're still 15 subscribers away from 900 or is it 800. So if you're new around here, or if you're a regular, if you're not yet subscribed, make sure you hit that sub button, make sure you like, and make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss any content going up on the channel. And also wasting any much time, let's get straight into it. So first off, we're going to start off with the goalkeeping and the defensive department. You're going to be having David Raya in there. I think now it's now time to get the Arsenal defenders. The tough fixtures. They had a very tough five fixtures. They've been able to They've been able to keep clean sheets in those tough five fixtures, and now they have the good fixtures coming up. And I think it's only right to get Arsenal defenders, and that's why I've gone for the Arsenal goalkeeper in there. I never thought it will reach a point where we'll be having premium goalkeepers in our teams. So I think Raya is a very good option, and he also has a lot of save points as well. Then you have Dubravka, just a cheap option, really. Nothing more, nothing less to be said about him. Then you have Richard starting off the defensive line, just a DEFCON monster. Of course, the good fixtures have come to an end, and now they have very tough fixtures coming up. Not very tough, but I think not the best fixtures on paper. But he's still a DEFCON monster, and with DEFCON points, doesn't matter if you concede, you just have to hit that threshold and you get the two extra points. So that's why I've gone for him in there. Then you have Senesi against Leeds. Of course, the wild card is not just who you're going to be playing on that particular day. So for Bournemouth, they have very good fixtures coming up from game week 6 to game week 9 because they play Leeds, Villa, Palace, and Forest. I see those games as a very good chance for clean sheets and some DEFCON points. And of course, he has shown that he can score some goals. So I think that's also the very good fixtures for Bournemouth and Senesi in defense in particular. Then you have Alderete, I hope I'm saying that correctly, playing against Nottingham Forest. I've gone for him because it's a cheap option. And Sunderland have been looking very good defensively, and they've also been looking very sharp. And I hope that Alderete can be able to continue his good form and be able to score a few goals here and there. Well, the reason I've gone for him is because the cheap option for that defense. I think at only 4 million. I think it's a very decent option. Then you have Anderson from Fulham at 4.5 million, or 4.6. I'm not so sure if he's gone up or not. Tough fixtures coming up for Fulham, but just for the same reasons as Richards. I think they complement each other well in terms of rotation. So that's why I've gone for both of them in there. Playing against Aston Villa in game week 5, I think is a very good game because Aston Villa have looked very poor. So yeah, that's why I've gone for Anderson, and I hope that he can be able to perform in those tough fixture. And then we have Van den Veen finishing off the defense. I think Spurs have the best fixtures on paper, maybe alongside Bournemouth, but I think Spurs just slightly edges it. They are going to be playing Wolves, Leeds, Aston Villa, and Everton in their next four. So that's why I've gone for him in there, and hope I can be able to keep a clean sheet and of course add some goal scoring options as well, or maybe some assists here and there. Then for other consideration, I have someone just an outside shout or someone I've been thinking about also adding to the team. I think it's also right to go for Man City defenders if you're not going to be getting. That's why it's a 50 toss up between Raya and Donnarumma. But of course, Raya will always have the edge. And then we have that's why I've gone for Guardiola as a other consideration. They also have very good fixtures coming up because they're going to be playing Burnley, Brentford, Everton, and Aston Villa in their next four, which I think are very easy fixtures for Man City. We saw how the good defensively they looked against Arsenal. Unfortunately, to concede the late goal, of course, but they were still very resilient, and Guardiola looked very good. And of course, if you want a differential, you could go for O'Reilly, but of course, the Pep roulette, we don't know how that is going to work out. So that's why I think Guardiola is just a decent pick. But for now, I think I'm going to be going for Richard, Senesi, Alderete, and Anderson, and Van den Beek in the defensive line, and Raya and Dubravka in the goalkeeping department. So that's the defense and the goalkeepers. Now let's look at the midfield. So I'm going to be starting off with King from Fulham. Not the worst pick and not the best pick, of course. I think he's only 4.5 million. He's been looking very sharp. I've been impressed with the games I've been watching for Fulham. He's been looking very, very good. Unfortunate, of course, in game week 5 to hear that goal to Brentford, but he still looks very, very good. He looks very composed, and I hope that he's going to be able to turn that composure, looking very good in our eyes, into being able to produce something in front of goal, maybe assists, maybe goals and things like that. So I've gone for him just because he's looking very good and also because it's just 4.5 million, a very cheap option. So I hope he's going to be able to start performing as well. And then the next player I've gone for is Semenyo, going to play against Leeds in game week 6. I don't know, I think Semenyo has been very good this season, of course, to even a point, starting to pick up DEFCON points. That's how good he's been. He managed to pick up the maximum DEFCON points in game week 5. And I think going to be playing up against Leeds, as I mentioned against for Senesi, they have one of the easiest fixtures on paper. So I think it's a very decent pick. And I think he's also a must have. I can't believe he's now around 7.7 million and started at only 7 million. So yeah, I think it's a very decent option. Of course, Clivert is back. I don't know if he's going to be a starter. Osemenya might be out of penalties. So that's something to watch out for. But I think he's only scored one penalty in the game week 1 to game week 5, and he still managed to pick up a lot of points. So I don't think it really matters. So yeah, so Semenyo. Then we have Salah. Of course, many people are going to wonder why I still have Salah in my FPL team. But I do think Salah is a very decent FPL pick. Of course, not had the best start to the season, but he still managed to get 4 goal contributions. And maybe you might argue that with paying 14.5 million, you don't expect, or you don't only have 4 GA, when you can just go to a cheaper option who's going to deliver the same pick. Like I'm sure, like Gakpo maybe has outscored him by a by a bit. So yeah, so maybe that's something to consider and just go for. So that's something to consider, but I think I'm going to have Salah in there regardless. And then we have Rangers against Burnley. How good has he been since he came to the Premier League? He's been very, very good. He's been very outstanding for Man City. And at only 5.5 million, I think FPL got another one wrong. So that's why I've gone for him. And as I mentioned, Man City have relatively easy fixtures, playing Burnley, Brentford, Everton, Aston Villa. I think those are very winnable games if the Man City are up for it, or they want to show they're challenging for title. I think they're going to win all 4 of those fixtures, and I'm sure that Rangers is going to be pivotal in all those fixtures. But of course, with the Pep, we know about the Pep roulette. But surprisingly enough, he's gone back-to-back games without changing his team. So yeah, so you never know. Maybe this season is going to be a little bit fixated in only having one team. Then we have Kudus finishing off the team. I couldn't have a team without Kudus. I tried to go with NDA, who you can see is my other consideration, but I just have to have Kudus after reflection and seeing those Spurs fixtures. I'm going to have Kudus in there. Of course, the last game week 5 he had 2 assists, and they were very good assists. So I'm going to be having him in there over NDA, who is not a bad option, of course. But I just don't think that Everton have very good fixtures coming up. But I think he's only 6.5 million. He's been looking very sharp, but I just don't think those Everton fixtures are very welcoming. So that's why I'm going for Kudus over NDA. So that's the midfield. Looks full of goals, full of assists, look full of DEFCON points, of course, from Semenyo in there. Now let's look at the forward line. So this is how the forward line is going to be looking like. Going to be having Haaland in there. Of course, you're going to be having Haaland in there. He's just Haaland. He's the bagsman for Man City. He's been looking on fire this season. I think he's been looking very, very sharp. And maybe he's going to break more records. We'll have to wait and see. Or of course, Grey Scout is looming on top of us after the Pep news today that Haaland has not been training for the past 2 fixtures because of a back injury, and he hopes he's going to be available. I was actually planning to use my triple captain, but that's a story for another day. But for now, I think we just trust. But I think Haaland is going to start. We've seen this Pep moves every here and there, trying to distract us FPL managers. But I think he's going to start, and if he's going to be available, I think he's a must-have. As I've mentioned, Man City have very good fixtures, and I think that Haaland is a must-have as well. So that's why I've gone for Haaland in there. Then you have Joe Pedro against Brighton. Of course, not at the best game week 5. They're down to 10 men pretty early, so it was just something that was going to happen in the game. They're going to be looking very lackluster in the attacking front. But I think even if Chelsea are not going to have the easiest fixtures on paper, but I'd still keep Joe Pedro because the other strikers have been very, very, very underwhelming. So I'd go for him. He's only 7.7 million, I think. So I'd still have him in the team, just the reason that the other strikers have been very poor. Then finishing off the striking, they're going to be having Richarlison. He's been very, very good in front of goal. I think he has 4 or 5 GA so far in the league. Going to be playing against Wolves, and as I mentioned, like with Van de Ven, and I've mentioned with Kudus, they have one of the easiest fixtures on paper. So I think Richarlison is also a must-have. And of course, the other consideration is going to be Gyökeres. Arsenal have really good fixtures coming up, and if they want to show they're going to be winning the league, I think Gyökeres has to step it up, and I'm sure he's going to be able to step it up because, of course, he scored a lot of goals last season. He just won the trophy for having the most goals in a season. So I think he's going to come good for Arsenal, and I think this is the best period for him to come good with those particular fixtures. So that's the team I've gone for. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this wildcard draft. The only slight concern I have is not having an Arsenal player in there apart from, of course, David Raya. But I'd hope that I'd have maybe Saka or Gyökeres. But I think with this team, it offers a lot of flexibility because if Salah is not someone for you, you can still go for Saka or Gyökeres and have Ndiaye and Gyökeres or something like that, or Saka and someone else. So I think it offers a lot of flexibility. But for now, I'm going to be going for the Salah and Haaland combination because I just think they're the best players in FPL for a reason, and I think they're going to be very outstanding. So that's the team I'd go for. Let me show how you I'd line up for game week 6. So this is how I'd line up for game week 6. We'll have David Raya in goal, of course. Then we had Van de Ven, Senesi, and Anderson in the defensive line. Salah, Kudus, Reinders, and Semenyo all in the midfield. Very good fixtures in there for that midfield four. And then finishing off the team up top, we'd have Haaland, Joe Pedro, and Richarlison. I think this is a very good team for game week 5 as well. So if you're going for a free hit, I think this is something I'd also do. If I was going for a free hit, I think this is the structure I'd go for. Looks pretty decent, looks pretty solid. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the team. And of course, the bench, Dubravka, Richards, King, and Alderete finishing off the team over there. So that's the team. I'd go for my wild card. It was using my wild card or just something to help you guys who are planning to use your wild card. And as well, this is another long video. So if you managed to reach this far, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and of course, don't forget to hit that bell. Don't miss any content going up on the channel. As I've mentioned, all my socials are down in the description. If you have any questions, don't shy away from asking. And with that, I'll see you all guys later. Bye bye.